Okay, Mr. Van Eeden, can I ask Martin to join me on the stage, please? Martin, do we have you with us here? There's the man.
Hello.
Guys, hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks.
Good, guys. So Martin is a performance and leadership coach that's worked with lots of different founders and executives and professionals over the years. We've asked him to share a couple of ideas around kind of leading yourself first. And I'll hand over to you for that, Martin.
Thank you very much, Lo. It's great to be here with you all. And yeah, I'm gonna, I think, carry on where Yvonne left off. And I'm so inspired by the three things that she said. And I think if there's one thing that the last 20 months have taught us, is that all of us need to deal better with change. For me and my family, it was a journey of self-reflection, reinvention, and starting over. Listen, we can complain as much as we want and blame everything and everyone for the turmoil, changes, and often real hardships we had to go through. But the main lesson for me and inspiration for this 10 minutes is that we must shift our focus from things happening to us to things happening for us. How do I take control of my own life and responsibility for my future? And that's a question that I've been asking myself and a lot of people in my coaching practice during this last 20 months. Because we all want to create a better future for ourselves and for the people close to us, and especially for the people that's in our organizations. So in the 10 minutes, or rather 8 minutes that's left, I'm going to share three concepts that will serve as a guide to get you where you want to be. So if we talk about self-development, you can't not quote Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, the famous Austrian neurologist, psychiatrist, philosopher, author, and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." We don't have a lot of control over situations in everyday life, but we do have a choice on how we think, feel, and act on what life throws at us. For example, like ignoring the dogs that's barking behind me. So that just proves the point. That brings us to number one on leading yourself. We have a choice, and our choices matter. What we choose matter. In the book, 3 Laws of Performance by Steve Zaffron and Dave Logan, the first law states that your performance, or let's call it action, are directly correlated to how a situation occurs to you. How you interpret, think, and experience a situation will determine how you act. You can either choose to let life happen to you or set your intent of how you want to experience life and the life you want. Just as Yvonne said, you have to have that intent to design your life. It reminds me of the story of Alice in Wonderland, where she asked the Cheshire Cat, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to go," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "So long as I get somewhere," Alice added as an explanation. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." And that brings us to number 2. The second principle is change your story. What's the story I tell myself? How situations occur to us arises in the language we use, or basically the story we tell ourselves. If you think about it, life is full of conversations. Deals are made in conversation, people are hired in conversation, conflict is saved in conversation, and your life is permeated with conversation. James Clear said, "The most important conversation is the conversation you have with yourself." So I want you to think about it for a little bit. What's that constant conversation? What's that constant sentence? What's that constant story you tell yourselves? Because what we say to ourselves matter. How we speak to ourselves matter. The story that we tell ourselves matter. And in order to change our story, and in order to change our life, we have to change our story. We have heard stories or experienced it maybe ourselves, where someone like a teacher or a parent said something to us, and that sentence set us up for not living into our potential or explore our talents. We all have the sentences that determine how we see ourselves. Maybe it's someone that said that you're not really good at drawing and you stopped pursuing your creative side. And when we do that, we create a premature cognitive commitment to that sentence. We decide that's how we're going to live our life. But luckily, we have a choice. We can either tell stories of contamination, of stories I can't do it, or of redemption, that anything is possible. So the third principle is that we have to write our story. And writing your new story asks of us to leave our old selves behind and living into a new reality. And we do that by using future-based language. If we think about the most successful people in the world, their identity and internal narrative is focused on their future and not their past. We can think of creating our story like writing a script for a blockbuster movie. The basic premise of any good movie is a character who wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. Think about it, Braveheart, Fight for Freedom, or insert your favorite movie and you will get to the same conclusion. It's a character who wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. And that's what we need if we want to write our own stories, create a new narrative for ourselves. You will need to think about having a clear and compelling goal or outcome. I once heard it said that clarity, to be clear is to be kind. So think of a clear and compelling goal or outcome, a path or process you believe will lead to attainment of that goal. And thirdly, a belief that you take action, execute, and succeed with determination, resilience, and grit. You will have to decide what types of freedoms, choices, circumstances, experiences, and daily behaviors does your future self engage in. And then you have to get some power moves. And the power moves are the aggressive actions you are going to take to create the future you want. And with that, you need a sense of tough-minded optimism with a clear sense of reality and clarity of who you want to be and where you want to go. I am fascinated by this quote by Richard Raw, and he said, "We don't think ourselves into new ways of living. We live ourselves into new ways of thinking." And that's what we have to do when we want to create a future for ourselves or want to lead ourselves into the future that we want. We can't just write and think about our story. We have to take action. We have to live into our story. I came across this piece from Mark Manson in the biography that he wrote for Will Smith. He said, "Life is learning." This is what Will Smith said. He said, "Life is learning, period. Overcoming ignorance is the whole point of the journey. You're not supposed to know at the beginning. The whole point of venturing into uncertainty is to bring light to the darkness of our ignorance." I heard a great saying once, life is like school with one key difference. In school, you get the lesson and then you take the test. But in life, you get the test and it's your job to take the lesson. We're all waiting until we have a deep knowledge, wisdom, and a sense of certainty before we venture forth. But we've got it backwards. Venturing forth is how we gain the knowledge. And that for me is, we don't know what the future is going to hold for us, but we have to take the courage to write that story and to live into it. And my wish for you is that you realize that there is a great story within you, within your company, for every person that you lead, but you have a choice. You can write the narrative and you can become more than you ever could imagine. And I want you to have courage to step into the new story. And may you start living that story. Thank you very much.
Sure, Martin. Thank you so much. That's absolutely golden. Really appreciate your time with us here today. That was super valuable. I'm excited about all those core lessons. A little shout out for Martin maybe on this platform, which is he's coaching our whole senior leadership team at Outsource CFO. So we're drawing from some of those pools of wisdom as we build. So thanks for that, Martin. Good to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Lau. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.